Advertising is the subject of today's programme. And on the agenda, members of an advertising agency tell us about advertising. In the press, on television, and in public places.
Give everyone a copy of the
We sit in on a meeting.
I think we'll keep the questions till later, actually, Nicola.
And we see how the chairman handles the discussion. The director of the Advertising Association tells us more about the business. And we take a closer look at some advertisements to see what makes them memorable. And Troubleshooter decides that he must do some advertising in order to meet his targets.
Good morning. Can I speak with Gillian Saunders, please?
David Muir is the business director with Ogilvy and Mather, an advertising agency located in Canary Wharf, London.
We offer our clients a variety of services, everything from research to planning an advertising campaign and placing it in a range of different media. Now, the media that we'll sometimes use can be very different. It can be everything from posters to journals, to newspapers, and of course television itself. Our creative department from there go on to create the advertisement, and then they will work with the other departments, like TV production if it's a TV commercial, or with print production if it's print or posters, to actually produce that commercial. You can't really do good advertising unless you understand the nature of the brand. The worst thing you can do is have great advertising for a bad product, because people may buy it once, but it'll be once only and they'll never ever buy that thing again. The consumer, basically, at the end of the day, is going to be the person who's going to buy that product. Some brands are aimed at the mass market. Some other brands are aimed at smaller or niche markets. Take a mass market car like the Ford Fiesta. Now, that has a very high brand awareness. There are a number of products which aren't aimed at the mass market like the Fiesta, and they're aimed at things called the niche market. And I'll give you an example, which is Lucozade NRG, which is aimed at a relatively small group, which is 16 to 18-year-olds.
Let's look at some of that again. First, focus on facts.
Julian, hi. It's
What
David
are the
here.
different
I just
kinds of
wanted to
media
get
that
back
David
to
talks
you
about
this
in
issue
connection
that
with
come up at our
advertising?
shop. It can be everything from posters to journals to newspapers and, of course, television itself.
Posters, journals, newspapers, and of course, television itself. What is the name of the department which creates the advertisements?
Our creative department from there go on to create the advertisement.
It's the creative department. The person who buys the product is called the consumer.
The consumer, basically, at the end of the day, is going to be the person who's going to buy that product.
And the particular product that they are advertising is called the brand. And a look at language forms. Unless is a word that can be used in a conditional sentence.
You can't really do good advertising unless you understand the nature of the brand.
You can't really do good advertising unless you understand the nature of the brand. Each customer's business is called an account. Media planning for a number of accounts is handled by Tim McCabe.
The types of press that we advertise in are tabloids, broadsheets. So the broadsheets tend to be more on a quality angle, and the tabloids tend to be on a more of a mid-market, down-market. I work across several clients where we use the concept of targeting to reach the consumer. On magazines, we look at, there are over 7,000 different magazines. There's business publications and there's consumer titles. Targeting means that, for example, you wouldn't advertise a nappy in the financial pages of a broadsheet. It would be far better suited in You and Your Baby. Poster advertising is all around us. We basically target consumers by putting them on the roadside. There's obviously key locations, so that will have a bearing on how much a particular poster will cost. We've currently got between 20 to 30 poster campaigns that are running nationally at the moment, one of them being the advertising for the Ford car. If you're advertising on the television for a prime-time 30-second spot, it would cost you, on average, £100,000 just for one spot. So one network 30-second television spot on one day would cost the same as 5 insertions for colour pages for the national newspapers, which would cost the same as a week advertising on a poster campaign.
Tom Vick is an account director with the advertising agency.
The UK advertising industry is very well known for the quality of its commercials, TV commercials or TV ads as we tend to call them. Elements from TV commercials can actually make their way into the language that people talk. The slogan, or the end line as we tend to call it in advertising these days, is important for some brands. Going back into the mist of time, we have Guinness, pure genius, very well known. Shell, you can be sure of Shell. Ford, everything we do is driven by you. What happens in TV production is that the agency team, myself and the creative people, will meet with a film director who will talk us through a storyboard of how he or she envisages the ad looking eventually. Once the film has been shot, we then embark upon, again, a fairly lengthy process of editing. The editing of the film itself is just as crucial as the shooting of the actual commercial. So we really need to concentrate on getting our communication as crisp and succinct as possible.
Let's take a closer look at some of that. First, some vocabulary. This time to do with the press and newspapers.
The types of press that we advertise in are tabloids, broadsheets.
Tabloid and broadsheet refers to the size of the pages. Tabloids are small and broadsheets are large. But there's another difference as well.
Broadsheets tend to be more on a quality angle.
Broadsheets are usually quality newspapers. You could also say they are more upmarket.
The tabloids tend to be on more of a mid-market, down-market.
And tabloids tend to be, that is, they are usually, or quite frequently, more mid-market or down-market. And now, some wordplay. A target is the place you want to hit when you shoot. Advertisers must hit the target with their advertisements. And targeting is an important concept in advertising.
Targeting means that, for example, you wouldn't advertise a nappy in the financial pages of a broadsheet. It would be far better suited in You and Your Baby.
Now, some more vocabulary. Advertisements on television are known as TV commercials or TV ads.
The UK advertising industry is very well known for the quality of its commercials, TV commercials or TV ads as we tend to call them.
And an important part of a TV ad is often the slogan or end line, as it's sometimes called.
The slogan, or the end line as we tend to call it in advertising these days, is important for some brands.
And finally, a look at language forms. Comparing costs using the conditional form of the verb.
One network 30-second television spot on one day would cost the same as 5 insertions for colour pages for the national newspapers.
One network 30-second television spot would cost the same as 5 insertions for colour pages for the national newspapers.
Which would cost the same as a week advertising on a poster campaign.
Which would cost the same as a week of advertising on the poster campaign. Now, Tom Vick is chairing a meeting about an advertising campaign. He's the chairman, or he's in the chair.
All right, are we all here? Who are we waiting for?
Nicola.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, Nicola, hello.
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 So, we're here to discuss the developments in the latest Ford poster campaign. Sally, could I ask you to kick off by taking us through the latest research developments?
Yeah, sure. First, I'd like to give everyone a copy of the research debrief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This shows us that, in general, the campaign was well received and that it fits in well with the TV campaign.
Could I raise a question here?
I think we'll keep the questions till later, actually, Nicola, and let's see what Sally has to say first. So, Sally, if you want to carry on.
Thanks. I'd also like to draw your attention to page 2, where we can see the huge increase in Fiesta sales since last year's TV campaign. So all in all, I think we have a very successful campaign.
Thanks, Sally. That sounds very encouraging indeed. Now then, Nicola, what did you want to ask?
Well, yes, I just wanted to raise the point about branding. In the last campaign we ran for this client, it proved to be a bit of an issue.
Good point. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I don't think there's an issue about the branding of Ford Company as a whole. I think the bigger issue is about the branding of the product, the branding of Fiesta.
Let's listen to some of that again. First, focus on fact. What is the subject of this meeting?
We're here to discuss the developments in the latest Ford poster campaign.
The subject of the
Sally,
meeting
could I
is
ask
the
you to kick
developments
off
in
by
the
telling us
latest
where we've
Ford
got to
poster
with the
campaign.
research?
Yeah, sure. First, I'd like to give
Notice
everyone
how
a
Tom
research
uses
debrief.
language to control and guide the meeting. Focus on language forms.
Sally, could I ask you to kick off by taking us through the latest research developments?
Sally,
Sure. First,
could
I'd
I
like
ask you to
give
kick
everyone
off? There's
copy
some
of the
wordplay
research
here.
debrief.
To kick off, like the start of a football match.
Could I raise a question here?
Could I raise a question here? But Tom doesn't want questions just yet.
I think we'll keep the questions till later, actually, Nicola.
I think we'll keep the questions till later. So Sally can continue.
Thanks. I'd also like to draw your attention to page 2.
I'd
where we
like
can see
to
the huge
draw your
increase in
attention
Fiesta sales
to
since
page
last
2.
year's TV campaign.
I just wanted to raise the point about branding.
I just wanted to raise the point about branding.
In the last campaign we ran, we found
And Tom agrees.
Good point.
Good point. And he asks for other opinions.
Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
And I think, well, I mean, we've talked about it since we had coffee, but I still think there is an issue about the product as a brand.
I think we all take your point, David, but I don't want to spend too much time on that now. I'd like to bring in Nicola at this point to talk to us about the creative work. Nicola?
Sure, I'll talk you through the work. Basically, the poster campaign works in much the same way as the TV. We've got the same quirky characters, demonstrating Fiesta's key features. So this one here focuses on the fact that the anti-roll suspension is standard on every Fiesta. So again, a very simple demonstration. We start with this guy the wrong way up because he's rolled, and then he's the right way up. Again, a very simple demonstration.
OK, I think everyone's had a chance to see for themselves now. Can I ask for everyone's views on the campaign as a whole? Sally, give us your views.
Well, I'm very enthusiastic on the whole. However, I do have 1 or 2 reservations, mainly in the fact that there's no car in the anti-roll execution.
I'm inclined to agree with you there, actually, Sally. Do you think you could sort that out, Nicola?
Yes, I could have a look at it.
Good. Now, David, tell us what you think.
Well, provided you can deal with the problems I talked about, I think it's fine, and I think that Nicola has done a very good job.
My feeling is that so long as we can deal with 1 or 2 small details, we should all have a campaign we can be rightly proud of. So, if I can just sum up, Nicola, if you can sort out the details about the car on the ad, and David, if you talk to the client about branding or sub-branding. Apart from that, we're all happy and we can move on to the next stage. OK?
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
that's great.
Good. Thank you.
Let's take a close-up on parts of that. David has been talking for a long time, and the chairman wants to move on to the next point.
I think we all take your point, David, but I don't want to spend too much time on that now.
I
Again, a
think
very
we all
simple
take your
demonstration.
point,
We start
but
with
I
this
don't
guy
want to
the wrong way
spend
up,
too much
rolled,
time on
and
that
then the right
now.
way up. Again, a very simple demonstration.
Now, Tom sums up and asks for opinions.
OK, I think everyone's had a chance to see for themselves now. Can I ask for everyone's views on the campaign as a whole?
Can I ask for everyone's views on the campaign? Sally is enthusiastic on the whole.
Well, I'm very enthusiastic on the whole. However, I do have 1 or 2 reservations.
However, I do have 1 or 2 reservations. And Tom agrees.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
I'm inclined to agree with you. It's time now to bring the meeting to an end. Tom summarises what they have to do.
So, if I can just sum up.
So, if I can just sum up.
Apart from that, we're all happy and we can move on to the next stage. OK?
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
The Advertising Association, which represents the interests of the advertising business in the United Kingdom, is headed by Andrew Brown. Andrew is the Director General.
Advertising has a primary function, which is about the provision of information. But the important thing in commercial advertising is to acknowledge its role in a competitive economy. In the UK, it's about £12 billion, about 25% of which goes on television, and a slightly greater percentage goes into the press. Press remains the largest medium in the UK. A brand is an idea, really, that exists in a consumer's head. It is more than just a name. All products have names, but brands are products that have values over and above simple physical attributes. They generate trust. People believe in them, people recognize them, and they stand for something over and above just the physical attributes. Trainers, at one level, have a very simple physical function, which is associated with athleticism. The difference between the brands is strongly felt, particularly amongst the youth, by their association, by the belief about which performers actually choose which brands. The UK is regarded worldwide as the centre of excellence for advertising. It is a talent business in all aspects, and therefore you do need high-caliber thinkers, people who are interested in tackling any type of problem in a genuinely innovative kind of way. And therefore, curiosity and creativity are not characteristics solely constrained to people in creative departments inside agencies.
Andrew entered the advertising business at an early age with one of the top UK agencies.
I was only 18, so I joined as a postboy, but I joined J. Walter Thompson, which was the biggest agency in the UK at the time, and I stayed there for 28 years. And I worked my way up through the business, becoming an account executive. I then did 3.5 years in what was called, still is called, account planning, which is really a strategic department looking at research and briefing. And then I moved into more senior account management and was a director of the company for 10 years with responsibility for managing a number of different accounts. Humour is used in British advertising to a greater extent than it is in other markets, in the US and in some parts of continental Europe. I think British audiences like it. One of the advantages that humour has is that it makes TV spots, for example, little vignettes of entertainment in their own right. There are fashions about slogans. I mean, all slogans really mean is a summarizing of the proposition that the brand or service is making in a succinct and hopefully memorable way, so that the association between the brand and its purpose and its promise is memorable and retained in the minds of audiences. There are some slogans which are really part of culture in the UK because they have been persevered with and invested in by their brand owners for years and years and years, and they are part of common language. Have a break, have a Kit Kat. The famous go to work on an egg. Guinness is good for you. Now, some of those don't exist anymore, but they're still part of culture, and they're part of long-term advertising investment. And they clearly define what those brands stand for, or did stand for, at the time when all that investment was being made.
Here's a new
How
song.
do advertisements work? They have to be memorable. This one, for Lucozade Energy Drink, focuses on 3 letters, N-R-G. Say them quickly and you get the word energy. So, energy equals Lucozade. The light and the fizz around the bottle adds fun and reinforces the message. What about the poster advertising cable telephone? The message is that the telephone bills will fall with cable. Look out for wordplay and word association. Is anything certain in this world? The poster says they guarantee that leaves will fall in the autumn, and so they guarantee cheaper phone bills with cable. That's how sure they are. The TV ad for the Ford Fiesta is easy to decode when you think about the different parts. The image of the child changing into the older man, the music from 2001, and the image of the Ford Fiesta projected towards you. From 0 to 60, that's miles per hour, in 10.8 seconds.
Bye, my dear sir. Goodbye, and thank you. Another satisfied customer. Very good value for money, he said. Do keep in touch. And so I shall. After all, my success depends on his. I say that's rather good, isn't it? I could use something like that as an advertising slogan. How would it be? My success depends on yours. My success depends on yours. What do you think?
On mine? Oh no, what?
All right, never mind. I have an advertising campaign to organise. Good morning. Yes, I'd like you to print me some posters. I'd like my logo, the target here at the top, with my name, Troubleshooter, underneath, and below that, my 2 telephone numbers. What do you think of that, eh?
An inspired design, if I may say so, sir.
Thank you very much. Oh, I've also decided to add a slogan, an end line, as they say. My success depends on yours. Another good idea?
Not bad at all, sir. But have you done your market research?
Of course I have. I know the very best way to target my customers, you know. I am a professional. I've done my homework. As part of my homework, I've come into town to measure customer satisfaction. This is Mr. Morrison, the toy shop owner.
Now look here. You told me to get this thing out the way. You told me that the point of sale was the most important thing. Look, I put the bazookas in the window as you told me, and they haven't moved an inch. I haven't sold one. You're absolutely useless. I never want to see you again. Now get out the way. Go on. Go on.
Mr. Morrison, please.
Go away.
Mr. Morrison.
Get out. Oh.
The results of my market research were very positive. Mr. Morrison, the toy shop owner, was particularly enthusiastic.
What? You've managed to persuade old Morrison to make use of your services? You must be joking. You're having me on.
Believe what you will, but I know how to promote myself. Unlike some.
If you say so, sir. Now tell me, how would you like these posters printed? In black and white or full colour?
Oh, I think full colour? No expense spared. I am going to wallpaper this whole town with my corporate image. The Troubleshooter advertising campaign begins now!
Do some target practice. Yeah, come on.
There's one for you. Well done, little girl. There we are. Excellent. One there for you, young man. Take that away. Excellent. What have we got now? Enough for everybody? There you go.
What do you think you're doing? Stop it at once. No, put them down, put them down, put them down, put them down. And you get that to me. You get that to me.
We're having target practice.
Well, you can't. Go on, clear off.
You lot.
Clear. You, sir, I have been multi-targeted, assaulted, and I have had...
Gentlemen! Credit where credit is due, surely. My dear chap, you are a complete genius. All my bazookas and all my water pistols have sold out completely, and all because of your poster campaign. It's been absolutely marvellous. You've given my business the most enormous boost. Now, what about another consultation, say as early as next week?
Certainly. But I am absolutely delighted, Mr. Morrison. After all, my success depends on yours.
That's all for today from the world of advertising. In your student's book, you will find all the usual texts, vocabulary and grammar exercises. In next week's programme, we look inside the travel and tourism industry. Join us for that.